Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we dive deep into the unfinished stories, the controversies that won't die, and the facts you won't find in a simple news clip. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the Duggar family saga once more. You remember the story, the 19 kids, the wholesome TLC show 19 Kids and Counting, and the scandals that shattered that image forever. We all saw the verdict. We heard the sentence, 151 months, over 12 years, for receiving child sexual abuse material. The message from Homeland Security investigations was crystal clear: possessing and viewing child exploitation material is not a victimless crime. The evidence was damning: a hidden computer partition, downloads traced to his car lot, timestamps matching his phone's location. The story was supposed to end there. But it didn't. Because in families like the Duggars, the story never really ends. It just evolves. It mutates. It finds new ways to fracture. What's happening now is a tale of two battles, one fought in the cold, procedural halls of the highest courts in America, and another fought in the messy, painful, text message-filled trenches of a family at war with itself. And at the center of it all, two men, Josh Duggar, the convicted son, and Jim Bob Duggar, the patriarch who built the empire. One is in federal prison. And the other, well, his situation is becoming increasingly complicated. Stick with me, because to understand where this is going, we have to rewind to where it all truly began. Long before the federal charges, there was a secret the family tried to manage on its own. As a teenager, Josh Duggar was accused of molesting several girls, including some of his sisters. The family's handling of it, choosing private confession and internal discipline over immediate reporting to police, set a precedent that experts say is dangerously common and profoundly damaging. A child advocacy center notes that 18 to 24% of child sexual abuse cases involve an offender under 18, and early, professional intervention is critical. This early chapter is the ghost that haunts every subsequent event. It's the reason why, years later, when cousin Amy Duggar King confronted a grown Josh about those allegations, his response wasn't a denial. It was a chilling, "I knew better," accompanied by what she describes as the creepiest smile I've ever seen. And when Jim Bob Duggar intervened in that confrontation, his focus, according to Amy, wasn't on his son's actions, but on telling her, "Now, Amy, let's not stir up contempt." This pattern, prioritizing image, control, and internal authority over transparent accountability, becomes the key to understanding everything that follows. Fast forward to 2019. Federal agents were conducting an undercover investigation on the dark web when they detected someone downloading some of the worst child sexual abuse material a seasoned investigator had ever seen. They traced the digital trail to a small used car lot in Springdale, Arkansas, Wholesale Motor Cars, owned by Josh Duggar. In November 2019, they executed a search warrant. What they found was a deliberate, calculated operation. Duggar had created a password-protected partition on his work computer to hide his activity from monitoring software. The password? One he used for other personal family accounts. The evidence was overwhelming. Downloads timed to moments when his text messages and phone photos geolocated him as the only person at the lot. This wasn't a slip-up, it was a pattern of behavior. In December 2021, a federal jury found him guilty on both counts. In 2022, he was sentenced to 12 years and 7 months with no parole, plus 20 years of supervised release. His parents, Jim Bob and Michelle, released a statement calling it grievous but affirming they would never stop praying for Joshua and loving him. That should have been the final chapter. But for Josh Duggar and his father Jim Bob, the fight was just shifting to a new arena, the appeals process. This is where our story of Josh Duggar wins in court begins to take a very specific, and legally nuanced, shape. An appeal is not a new trial. It's not about claiming innocence all over again. It's a procedural argument, a claim that a legal error was made during the original trial that was so significant it affected the outcome. This is the path Josh Duggar's legal team has been on for years. They've fought in appellate courts, and earlier this year, in 2024, they played what many thought was their final card, they filed a petition for a writ of certiorari with the Supreme Court of the United States. This is a formal request asking the highest court in the land to review the lower court's decision. It's a Hail Mary pass. The Supreme Court receives thousands of these requests every year and only accepts a tiny fraction for a full review. For a fleeting moment, when the petition was accepted for consideration, some observers might have called that a win. A procedural step forward. A chance. But here's the reality: legal analysts following the case have consistently noted that the evidence against him is too strong. The technical arguments about search warrants or evidence admission face the mountain of concrete, digital, and testimonial proof laid out by Homeland Security investigations. So, while a legal maneuver might provide a temporary headline, the fundamental fortress of his conviction, built by HSI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, remains standing. But the legal battle is only half of the explosive new tension tearing this family apart. Because while Josh fights his war in federal court documents, a different, more personal war has erupted back in Arkansas. And it directly implicates the man who has always been the family's general, Jim Bob Duggar. Enter Amy Duggar King. The cousin who was once the crazy outlier on the family show has become the most vocal and disruptive truth-teller from inside the family circle. In late 2025, she released a memoir titled Holy Disruptor, detailing her experiences and making serious allegations about cycles of abuse and secrecy, even alleging violent history with her grandfather. The book was a grenade tossed into the family's carefully managed silence. And the reaction from within the family was, according to Amy, textbook manipulation. Just days ago, on January 8, 2026, Amy took to social media to post screenshots of a private text exchange with an unnamed family member. The messages are a masterclass in what she calls gaslighting. The relative wrote, "I have a ton of pictures of you and him having fun laughing, etc. I pray you can think on good things and good times." Amy fired back, "I remember the good times. Clearly. But the bad does not take away from the fact of the wrong." She accused this person of refusing to take accountability, of gaslighting her, and of making her fear for my life. The relative's response? "This is all wrong, but I think in time you will see it should not be this way." And then, the key question, "So you are never connected back with us?" Amy dissected this for her followers, calling it classic gaslighting, an attempt to use nostalgia and spiritual language to pressure her into silence and self-betrayal. She stated a powerful truth: truth doesn't become trouble just because it makes someone uncomfortable. Now, who is this unnamed family member? Amy hasn't revealed the identity, but speculation in the comments and among followers immediately pointed to the heads of the family, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. The language, the tone, the appeal to old photos and unity, it fits the pattern of patriarchal authority Amy has described before. And this is where the story takes its darkest turn yet. Amy's allegations aren't just about hurt feelings. She talks about fearing for her life. She references her book's claims about a predatory grandfather. She is drawing a direct line from past abuses to present-day psychological manipulation. And she is doing it publicly, while the legal appeals for the family's most infamous member are still active. This creates an unprecedented pressure cooker around Jim Bob Duggar. He is no longer just the reality TV dad or the supportive father of a convicted son. He is now a central figure in a very public allegation of ongoing emotional abuse and coercion from within his own family. The court of public opinion is turning. And when that happens, the attention of other authorities can follow. So, let's talk about the most explosive part of our title: Jim Bob remains in police custody. As of today, January 10, 2026, based on available public records and law enforcement reports, there is no confirmation that Jim Bob Duggar has been arrested or is in police custody. That specific claim, in its literal sense, appears to be part of the speculative, clickbait narrative. But, and this is a massive but, the foundation for such a scenario is being laid brick by brick, day by day, in real time. Think about it. What does police custody mean? It's not always about prison bars. It can mean being detained for questioning. It can mean being the subject of an active investigation. It can mean your movements and communications are being scrutinized. Consider the elements now swirling around Jim Bob Duggar. 1. The historical allegations, the reopened wounds of how the initial teen molestation incidents were handled, which some experts argue could have constituted a failure to report. 2. The current allegations, public, detailed accusations from a family member, Amy, of manipulation, gaslighting, and causing her to fear for her safety. These are serious claims that could potentially attract the attention of social services or investigators, especially if others come forward. 3. The financial and control web, as the patriarch who controls the family's finances and public image, his role in managing the aftermath of Josh's crimes, potentially using family resources to fund legal appeals, places him at the center of the ongoing saga. 4. The unpredictable spark, in high-profile, high-tension family dramas like this, one new piece of evidence, one brave whistleblower from within the large Duggar sibling group, or one misstep can trigger a formal law enforcement response. So, while he may not be in a cell tonight, Jim Bob Duggar is arguably in a form of custody, the custody of intense public scrutiny, of crumbling family loyalty, and of a narrative that is spiraling beyond his control. The walls are closing in. The question is no longer if there will be another seismic shift in this case, but when and what form it will take. Will it be a new legal charge? A damning testimony in Josh's appeal? Or a full-scale family revolt that finally breaks the decades-long code of silence? This story is the definition of unfinished business. It's a live wire. We have a convicted man fighting to the Supreme Court, a patriarch whose grip on his family is slipping through his fingers as his own relatives accuse him of psychological warfare, and a chorus of voices, from federal agents to child advocates, warning that secrecy and minimization only allow predators to continue and victims to suffer. The lesson from the Duggar scandal, as one child advocacy center puts it, is that no abuse is insignificant and appropriate treatment and timely reporting are key. Every time that lesson is ignored, the cycle continues. And right now, in the Duggar family, the cycle is on full display, playing out in court dockets and on Instagram feeds. This is not a story we can wrap up with a neat bow today. Because it is still being written. The next chapter could drop tomorrow. It could be a Supreme Court decision. It could be another shocking social media post from Amy or another Duggar sibling breaking ranks. It could be, as some online speculators suggest, Jim Bob playing one final card in a last-ditch effort to change the game. And when that next chapter breaks, you know where to come for the deep dive, for the context, and for the facts behind the frenzy. We will be here, watching, analyzing, and connecting the dots. So, if you want to follow this ongoing saga with us, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss the next update. This story is moving fast. But before we go, we want to hear from you. What do you think happens next? Does Josh Duggar have any real chance with the Supreme Court? Is Jim Bob Duggar truly in legal jeopardy, or is this just a family drama playing out in public? And most importantly, who do you think was texting Amy? Let us know your theories in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you or someone you know has been affected by the issues discussed in this story, remember, help is available. You can report suspected child exploitation to Homeland Security investigations at 1-866-347-2423 or contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. For support related to sexual assault, you can contact the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. Thank you for watching. Remember, the truth is often a story still being told. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next one.